Did you know that the coldest temperature ever recorded on Earth was -8.6 degrees F, and it was recorded in Antarctica? But what if I told you that beneath this hostile, frigid expanse, there might be traces of ancient civilizations? Sounds outlandish, doesn't it? But stick with me because this icy mystery is a rabbit hole that goes deep into our past. Today we're going to delve into a world that is often overlooked in our discourse about ancient civilizations, the frozen continent of Antarctica. Now, Antarctica might be the last place you would think of when it comes to ancient civilizations. After all, it's the coldest, windiest, and driest continent. A harsh landscape covered in ice up to a mile thick, it's seemingly inhospitable, an icy wilderness that is the definition of desolation. And yet, what if I told you that this freezing wasteland may have once been a bustling hub of ancient activity? Through the ages, Antarctica has been subject to a variety of hypotheses and theories. It has always been a source of mystery, partly due to its inaccessibility and the harsh conditions that make exploration a formidable challenge. Some theories suggest that this continent, now hidden beneath miles of ice, was once home to ancient civilizations that we can hardly imagine. These theories often hinge on controversial interpretations of satellite imagery, ancient maps, and unique structures spotted under the ice, suggesting human or perhaps even non-human activity. One of the most famous pieces of evidence is the Piri Reis map, a pre-modern world map compiled in 1513 by the Ottoman admiral and cartographer Piri Reis. Part of this map shows the northern part of Antarctica ice-free, which has led to speculations about ancient maritime civilizations with advanced geographical knowledge. Critics, however, argue that the map is a compilation of multiple sources, some of which may have been flawed. Satellite imagery of Antarctica has also led to intrigue and speculation. In 2006, Google Earth users spotted a formation in Antarctica that looked uncannily like a face, leading to suggestions of a lost civilization. Scientists, however, think that this is a natural phenomenon known as pareidolia, where the mind perceives a familiar pattern where none actually exists. The most provocative theories suggest that ancient alien civilizations could have once made their home on the icy continent, pointing towards supposed pyramid-like structures visible beneath the ice. Though these claims are yet to find any substantial scientific backing, so what is the truth? Is it possible that an ancient civilization could have once existed in this inhospitable landscape, or are these theories the products of overactive imaginations and misinterpreted data? It's time for us to embark on a journey of exploration and discovery into the icy depths of Antarctica. We're all familiar with the mysteries of the ancient world, but Antarctica's mysteries are well colder and much more unusual. There are theories that take our understanding of ancient civilizations and flip it on its head, painting a picture of a past that is both startling and thought-provoking. Let's delve into some of these unconventional theories, each with its unique blend of mystery speculation and a dash of audaciousness. The first, and perhaps the most known, is the hypothesis that Antarctica is the lost continent of Atlantis. Proponents of this theory suggest that around 12,000 years ago the entire continent was shifted from a temperate zone to the South Pole due to Earth's crust displacement, a controversial idea put forward by Charles Hapgood in the 1950s. This cataclysmic event, they suggest, froze the sophisticated Atlantean civilization in a matter of days, preserving it beneath the ice. But what about those pyramid-like structures I mentioned earlier? Some theorize that these are remnants of this ancient civilization. These structures, visible via satellite, bear an uncanny resemblance to the pyramids of Egypt and Central America. However, most scientists argue that these pyramid-like formations are likely the result of natural erosion and wind patterns unique to Antarctica. And then there's the theory of an ancient extraterrestrial outpost in Antarctica. It's been suggested that some of the unusual formations and anomalies found on the continent may be the remains of alien technology or structures. Proponents of this idea often cite supposed UFO sightings and unexplained phenomena in the region. But again, these claims have not found widespread acceptance in the scientific community. And let's not forget the speculation surrounding ancient maps like the Piri Reis and Oronteus Finaeus maps, which seem to depict the Antarctic coastline free of ice, suggesting that the cartographers had knowledge of the continent long before it was officially discovered. Skeptics, however, argue that these maps are based on guesswork and mistaken interpretations of other land masses. The Piri Reis map has long been a subject of fascination among historians, cartographers, and conspiracy theorists alike, drawn in 1513 by Ottoman admiral and cartographer Piri Reis. This map illustrates parts of Europe, Africa, and the Americas with surprising accuracy for the time. But the intrigue doesn't stop there. The southernmost portion of the map seems to depict the northern coastline of Antarctica, a landmass not officially discovered until 1820. Have you ever wondered what secrets are buried beneath the sands of time? Picture this ancient Egypt, a civilization that left behind architectural wonders like the Sphinx and the pyramids. But what if everything we'd been taught about these iconic structures is just a fraction of their true story? Consider the possibility that the pyramids and the Sphinx could be older than the Egyptians themselves, that the Sphinx might once have been Anubis, the jackal-headed god, and that the pyramids might contain mathematical marvels and alignments with celestial bodies. Intricacies that could suggest a technology or knowledge way beyond the human capability of that era, perhaps pointing towards alien gods. Let's look at the Great Sphinx, a symbol of ancient Egypt that continues to perplex scholars. Today the Sphinx is like a silent sentinel sitting on the Giza plateau, its weathered face gazing eastward towards the rising sun. But if you examine the Sphinx closely, there are clues in its geology that suggest its story may be more complex than we initially thought. One geologist, Dr. Robert Schoch, first brought attention to this in the 90s, when he proposed a controversial theory about the Sphinx's age. He noticed that the erosion patterns on the links appeared to have been caused by water, not just a bit of rain, but thousands of years of heavy rainfall, the kind that hasn't occurred in the Giza region for about 10,000 years since the end of the last ice age. Now, traditional Egyptology places the construction of the Sphinx in the reign of Pharaoh Khafre around 2500 BCE, when the area was already an arid desert. So where did this water come from? Schoch proposed that the Sphinx may be far older than traditionally believed, dating back to a time when Egypt was a lush tropical landscape with heavy monsoons and flash floods. Of course, the implications of this are profound, shaking the bedrock of our historical understanding. If the Sphinx was weathered by water, and this weathering occurred before Egypt became a desert, it would mean that the monument was already ancient by the time the first pharaoh took the throne. It also begs the question, who built it? The civilization capable of such monumental architecture would predate any we know of. Could there be an unknown advanced civilization lost to the sands of time, waiting to be discovered? Isn't that what makes history so exciting, the fact that we don't have all the answers yet? Let's now delve into an even more controversial theory surrounding the Sphinx. Now, we've all been brought up knowing it as the Sphinx, but what if it wasn't always a lion-bodied, human-headed creature that we see today? What if it was something different? This theory brings us to Robert Temple, a British author and researcher. He proposed a highly debated theory that the Great Sphinx was originally not a sphinx at all, but was instead a massive statue of the jackal god Anubis. Yes, you heard it right. Anubis, the god of embalming and the dead, known for guiding souls in the afterlife. But why Anubis Temple noted that the current human head of the Sphinx is proportionally much smaller than its body, which could indicate that the head was recarved from a larger original. In this case, a jackal head would fit the larger body better in proportion. Besides, Anubis is typically portrayed as a recumbent canine, or a muscular man with a jackal's head, not so far from the Sphinx's current layout. Moreover, there's the location of the Sphinx to consider. It sits in front of the Khafre pyramid, as if it's guarding the entrance to the afterlife, a job usually assigned to Anubis in ancient Egyptian mythology. Could it be that the Sphinx, which literally means living image, was the living image of Anubis instead of the human-headed lion we see today? As you might imagine, this hypothesis has been met with skepticism from mainstream Egyptologists. There are many factors to consider, including the established symbolism of lion-bodied creatures in the ancient world, and the absence of any ancient text referring to the Sphinx as Anubis. A curiosity is only just getting started. Theories like these challenge the status quo and keep us asking questions. After all, isn't it a bit weird or inspiring? The Great Pyramids of Giza are not only remarkable because of their massive scale, but also due to their mathematical precision and alignment. You know, the kind of precision that is surprisingly difficult to achieve even today, with all our modern technology and tools. This leads us to ask, how could an ancient civilization accomplish such a feat? Let's start with the Great Pyramid of Giza, also known as the Pyramid of Khufu. It's the largest of the three pyramids, originally standing at an astonishing 481 feet. Not to mention, it was the tallest man-made structure in the world for over 3,800 years, until the completion of Lincoln Cathedral in England in the 14th century. But it's not just about the size. The base of the Great Pyramid is a near-perfect square, with each side measuring about 756 feet. The level of precision is such that the difference in lengths between the four sides is less than 2 inches. Moreover, each side of the pyramid is carefully aligned to one of the cardinal directions north, south, east, and west again, with an astoundingly minimal error. This already seems remarkable, right? But hold on to your seats because it's about to get a lot more intriguing. The Pyramid of Khufu, along with the other 2 pyramids of Giza, are positioned in a way that mirrors the alignment of the 3 stars in the belt of the constellation Orion. In ancient Egyptian mythology, Orion was associated with the god Osiris, the god of the afterlife. This cosmic correlation suggests a deep understanding of astronomy that goes beyond mere chance. The mathematical sophistication and astronomical alignment present in these pyramids point to a highly advanced civilization. But again, the question remains, how is this accomplished? Mainstream history tells us that this was all done by sheer human ingenuity and labor, using simple tools and methods. Others, however, speculate about intervention from a higher intelligence, perhaps even extraterrestrial. The theories are as vast and intriguing as the pyramids themselves. Isn't it all just amazing, or maybe it's just a bit weird? There's a saying that goes, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. If we were to time travel thousands of years back and show a smartphone to the ancient Egyptians, they would likely see it as a divine or magical artifact. With this perspective, some researchers suggest that the pyramids and indeed much of the awe-inspiring accomplishments of ancient Egypt may have been influenced or even directly facilitated by extraterrestrial entities whom the ancients may have perceived as gods. There is a theory known as the ancient astronaut theory that proposes the interaction of extraterrestrial beings with ancient humans. Supporters of this theory suggest that much of the technology, knowledge, and spiritual understanding of our ancient civilizations was handed down from these celestial visitors. The idea has gained popularity due to authors like Eric von Daniken and shows like Ancient Aliens on the History Channel. Let's take a closer look at this theory in the context of ancient Egypt. Proponents point out that the construction of the pyramids, especially given the remarkable mathematical precision and astronomical alignments, could not have been possible with the tools and knowledge known to exist during the reign of Pharaoh Khufu. Therefore, they argue the pyramids might be the result of technology knowledge provided by an advanced, non-human civilization. Further fueling this theory are the Egyptian texts and artwork that seem to depict what could be interpreted as advanced technology or celestial beings. One example is the hieroglyphs in the Temple of Seti I in Abydos that bear an uncanny resemblance to modern aircraft. Also, many ancient Egyptian deities were associated with celestial bodies and were believed to possess incredible powers. Could it be that these gods were extraterrestrials perceived as divine due to their advanced technology and knowledge? Were they the ones who instructed or aided the Egyptians in constructing the pyramids? The Great Pyramid of Giza is not just a testament to the engineering prowess of the ancient Egyptians, it's also an architectural mystery that seems to embed a deep connection to the cosmos. Let's delve into the intriguing details of how the structures on the Giza Plateau reflect an intimate understanding of the heavens, an understanding that seems surprisingly advanced for a civilization from more than 4,000 years ago. It's well known that the layout of the 3 primary pyramids mirrors the positioning of the stars in Orion's belt. This correlation was brought to the forefront by Robert Bauval and Adrian Gilbert in their Orion correlation theory, the 3 stars of Orion's belt. Alnitak, Alnilam, and Mintaka align almost perfectly with the apexes of the 3 pyramids of Giza. Moreover, the orientation of the pyramids to the north is so precise that it deviates from true north by just 3/60ths of a degree. Could the builders have had an advanced astronomical knowledge, or perhaps assistance from a more advanced civilization? Going deeper, the Great Pyramid itself has elements of celestial alignment. Its narrow shafts, dubbed air shafts or spirit stones, seem to be aimed at specific stars. The southern shaft of the King's Chamber points to Orion, while the northern shaft points to the circumpolar stars. Similarly, in the Queen's Chamber, one shaft points to Sirius, the brightest star in the sky, and another points to the Ursa Minor constellation. It's fascinating to think that these structures built thousands of years ago could act as star pointers, adding another layer of intrigue. The Sphinx also shows signs of astronomical alignment. The Sphinx faces due east, and some theorists propose that it was designed to observe the equinoxes and solstices. The theory of the Sphinx representing the constellation of Leo during the age of Leo, approximately 10,500 BC, as proposed by Robert Bauval and Graham Hancock, challenges mainstream chronology. and makes us question our understanding of the Sphinx and its origins. While skeptics argue these alignments could be coincidental, it's hard to dismiss the accuracy and precision involved. Could it be a random occurrence, or is it evidence of an ancient civilization that had deep astronomical knowledge, or perhaps even a sign of extraterrestrial intervention? As we continue to explore and decipher the secrets of ancient Egypt, the questions just keep piling up. And as always, thanks for watching. As we delve into the past, we discover that our history is full of mysteries and questions that even today's technology struggles to answer. From water erosion on the Sphinx, to the possibility of Anubis taking its place, from the marvel of mathematical precision in pyramids, to the curious celestial alignments. We're left pondering if human hands alone were capable of these feats, or if there were other extraterrestrial forces at play. Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, one thing is for sure: the more we explore, the more fascinating our world becomes. What if I told you that beneath the shimmering waves of the Indian Ocean there lies a submerged city that just might be a legendary kingdom mentioned in an ancient epic? Yes, we're going on a deep dive into the story of Dwarka, a city described in the Mahabharata, one of the major Sanskrit epics of ancient India. This isn't just an exploration of myth and legend, but also a journey through the fascinating realms of underwater archaeology and radiocarbon dating. So let's plunge into the depths and discover the captivating saga of Dwarka. Dwarka is more than just a name, it's a word that translates to the gateway to heaven. According to Hindu mythology, this majestic city was established by none other than Lord Krishna, a deity worshipped as the 8th avatar of Lord Vishnu. Now, who is Krishna, you might ask? Krishna, a central figure in Hinduism, is widely revered for his wisdom, his strategic prowess, his supernatural feats, and his role as a charioteer advisor and friend to Prince Arjuna in the epic Mahabharata. In this ancient text, Krishna flees to the western coast of India after a catastrophic war. Here he establishes the city of Dwarka, a city so opulent and grand that it's often described as a city made of gold. But as stories go, this magnificent city meets a tragic end after Krishna's death. A series of calamities strike. Submerged by the sea in a matter of days, the city disappears, taking all its architectural grandeur and wealth along with it. The tale of Dwarka is fascinating in its own right, but here's where it gets even more interesting. This myth aligns with a geological phenomenon known as sea level rise, which could result in the submergence of coastal settlements. So this begs the question, is Dwarka just a symbolic tale, or could it be an actual historical event dressed in myth and legend? The archaeology unit of the National Institute of Oceanography is making headlines. The team is embarking on an underwater archaeological expedition to see what lies beneath the sea at Dwarka, on the western coast of India. Led by archaeologists S.R. Rao and Ask, the team discovers something that shakes up the world of archaeology: structural remains and artifacts suggesting the existence of an ancient city. The expedition reveals well-planned stone structures, pottery shards, semi-precious stones, and inscriptions, some of which date back to the Harappan civilization around 2000 BCE. The discoveries don't stop there. Subsequent underwater explorations reveal an extensive network of stone structures extending over half a mile, which appears to have been built on the bank of an ancient river, the Gomati. The stone structures, ceramics, and inscriptions lend credibility to the existence of a bustling urban center in antiquity. It's an intriguing find, right? But there's a twist. The artifacts and structures found underwater not only suggest the existence of an ancient city, but also hint at a city that may have been submerged by rising sea levels, aligning strikingly with the legend of Dwarka. Could it be that the legend of Dwarka was not merely a legend, but a page out of our own historical past preserved in mythology? So we have established that there's something under the sea at Dwarka, but what exactly did the explorers find? Well, the discoveries at Dwarka were nothing short of astonishing. Firstly, pottery shards were found in abundance. These pieces of ancient ceramics were from a variety of different eras, some of them dating back to the late Harappan period. The variety in pottery styles suggests that Dwarka was inhabited over an extensive period of time, housing several generations of people. Then there were the semi-precious stones. These materials, often used for making jewelry, speak volumes about the economic prosperity of the city. The presence of such materials suggests that Dwarka was a trade center exchanging goods with different parts of the ancient world. Next, there were the inscriptions. The most important of these was a seal that bore the image of a three-headed animal. The symbolism behind this creature remains a mystery, but the very fact that the inhabitants of Dwarka had a complex system of symbols suggests a sophisticated society. And then, of course, there were the architectural remains. Stone structures of various shapes and sizes were found, giving archaeologists a glimpse into the layout of the city. Among these structures, a series of circular, fort-like constructions believed to be part of the city's defense system were particularly remarkable. Taken together, these discoveries form a remarkable narrative of an ancient city that in its time a hub of civilization and commerce, and this narrative, much to our astonishment, aligns remarkably well with the mythical city of Dwarka described in the Mahabharata. In a world where we want hard facts, the science of radiocarbon dating can act as our time machine, providing an objective lens through which to view the past. And it was this scientific tool that was used to try and pinpoint the age of the submerged city of Dwarka. Radiocarbon dating works by estimating the age of organic materials, which include ancient artifacts and biological specimens. It's based on the principle that all living things contain carbon, some of which is radioactive C14. When a creature or plant dies, it stops absorbing this radioactive carbon, but the C14 it already contains continues to decay. By measuring the remaining quantity of C14, scientists can estimate how long ago the organism died, or in our case, when the artifacts were last used or made. Applying this technique, pieces of wood from Dwarka were sent to laboratories where they were analyzed for radiocarbon content. The results: the wood samples were found to date back to around 7,500 years ago, vastly predating the expected timeline of Mahabharata. According to most historians, this significant revelation opened up a Pandora's box of questions. Could the submerged city really be the mythical Dwarka? If so, does it mean that our timeline of the Mahabharata is off? Or does it suggest that the city was inhabited long before Krishna supposedly ruled there, and the epic merely borrowed the location's rich history? The radiocarbon dating results were a fascinating discovery, adding a new layer of complexity to the mystery of Dwarka. It reminds us that the lines between history, archaeology, and mythology can blur, leaving us to ponder on the intersection of fact and fiction. How does radiocarbon dating work? Let's step back from the Dwarka and elaborate a little more on this interesting way to measure age. Alright, so imagine you're watching a video on YouTube. When the video starts, it's fully loaded right now. Let's say you pause the video and go grab a snack. When you come back, you notice that the video has unloaded a bit, it's been buffering and you can't play it right away. That's a bit like how radiocarbon dating works, but instead of a video, we're talking about a kind of stuff called carbon-14. You see, everything that was once alive, like a tree, a dinosaur, or a woolly mammoth, absorbed a type of carbon called carbon-14 when they were living. Once they die, they stop taking in new carbon-14. But here's the cool part. Carbon-14 is a little bit like a slowly buffering YouTube video. Over time, it changes or decays into another kind of stuff called nitrogen-14. Scientists call the time it takes for half of the carbon-14 to change into nitrogen-14 its half-life, kind of like if half your video had to buffer before you could watch it. For carbon-14, this half-life is about 5,730 years. Now let's say we find a really old piece of wood and we want to know when the tree it came from stopped living. We can't ask the tree, obviously, but we can use a special tool to measure how much carbon-14 is still in the wood, compared to how much carbon-12, a type of carbon that doesn't change over time, is in it. If there's a lot of carbon-14 left, the tree probably hasn't been dead very long, but if there's only a little carbon-14 left, that means the tree has been dead for a very long time. And that's pretty much how radiocarbon dating works. Scientists use this method to tell how old things are that used to be alive, from ancient wooden tools to prehistoric animal bones. It's like a time machine that helps us uncover the secrets of the past. The discussion surrounding the ancient city of Dwarka isn't without its skeptics. These are the people who question the conclusions that have been drawn from the archaeological evidence, and their doubts are an important part of the scientific process. One of the main areas of skepticism revolves around the age of the underwater city. Critics point out that while certain samples tested using radiocarbon dating suggest an older date, this doesn't necessarily confirm that the city itself is of the same age. In other words, older organic material could have been incorporated into a younger settlement. Skeptics also point to the complexity and size of the structures that have been found underwater. They argue that these structures are far more sophisticated than what is typically associated with other sites from the same period. Some even suggest that the underwater ruins could be the remnants of a much more recent settlement, potentially even dating to medieval times. Then there's the question of the city's connection to the ancient epic. The Mahabharata. Skeptics argue that just because a city is found where the mythical Dwarka is said to have been, doesn't mean it's the same city after all. There could have been multiple settlements in the area over the thousands of years of human history. Finally, skeptics argue that more research needs to be done. The underwater site is extensive, and only a small portion has been thoroughly investigated until more of the city is explored and more artifacts are found, and tested skeptics caution against drawing firm conclusions about the site's age and cultural significance. But where does that leave us? A submerged city, radiocarbon dates that point to immense antiquity, and a saga that may or may not be true.